Hello everyone and welcome to Tuesday evening, a lesson here again at the Kabbalah course for Bnei Baruch. So hope you guys are all well, and we're going to carry on today with lessons that we're going over, well, excerpts that we're going over actually during the morning lesson. And today's topic is to annul before the upper one. So these are selected excerpts, so we're going to do it just like we always do on Tuesdays, and go over a relevant morning lesson material. So as you know, we've got a Congress coming up soon. So if you don't know, you know now, and that's going to be at the end of September. And so as the whole of Bnei Baruch, we're moving into a new level of development. So the excerpts we're reading are quite important right now, actually, because they're kind of guiding us through the states that we're attempting to kind of develop and reveal inside of us. All right, so to annul before the upper one. If you've got any questions, as usual, feel free to shoot them through and we'll try to answer them as best we can. So an article from Rabash, writings of Rabash. Once a person has annulled his reason and his will before the will of the Creator, at that time a person is rewarded with the will of the Creator, which is to bestow. When a person has a desire to bestow, he's called a pure man, for he does not do anything unless it brings contentment to his Maker. Once again, once a person has annulled his reason and his will before the will of the Creator, at that time a person is rewarded with the will of the Creator, which is to bestow. When a person has the desire to bestow, it's called a pure man, for he does not do anything unless it brings contentment to his Maker. So what we're trying to do is, instead of doing everything in order to bring contentment to ourselves, we're trying to enter a new phase, a new approach to life, from a new perspective, a new perception. And that is to just bestow. And if we're able to just bestow, then we'll be bringing contentment to the Creator. So being able to bestow in a pure fashion is the outcome, or should be the outcome of our work, and that should bring contentment to the Creator. Just like children, when they do good things, they bring contentment to their parents, and that is exactly how our situation should be with respect to the Creator. Number 2. This is again from Rabash. What delays us from being able to receive the delight and pleasure is the will to receive for ourselves. This means there are 2 authorities. 1, the Creator. 2, the creatures, who must elicit from the authority of the Creator into their authority. It follows that we should speak of 2 subjects here, Creator and creature. The difference between them is that the Creator is the giver and the creature is the receiver. This means that the abundance imparted from the Creator must seemingly part from the Creator in order to enter the authority of the receiver. And this is considered separation. Yet, the Tzimtzum and concealment were primarily so the upper light would not part from the Creator. Rather, as we learned in the restriction was because Malchut wanted to adhere to the root, which is called annulling her own authority, and to cling to the Creator, which is called singular authority. This means that the authority of the receiver would be annulled, and only the authority of the Creator would remain. Let's read that again. What delays us from being able to receive the delight and pleasure is the will to receive for themselves. This means there are two authorities. One, the Creator. Two, the creatures, who must elicit from the authority of the Creator into their authority. It follows that we should speak of two subjects here, Creator and creature. The difference between them is that the Creator is the giver and the creature is the receiver. This means that the abundance imparted from the Creator must seemingly part from the Creator in order to enter the authority of the receiver. And this is considered separation. Yet, the restriction and concealment were primarily so the upper light would not part from the Creator. Rather, as we learned, the restriction was because Malchut wanted to adhere to the root, which is called annulling her own authority, and to cling to the Creator, which is called singular authority. This means that the authority of the receiver would be annulled, and only the authority of the Creator would remain. So in reality, what needs to remain is just the authority of the Creator, which is actually the ability to bestow. So if we can bestow, just like the Creator, then the will to receive for oneself becomes cancelled. So the whole reality is once again under the governorship of the Creator, which is to bestow. And that's how things should be. So the desire to receive is not annulled, but the desire to receive for myself, the egoism, the intention for myself, that's the annulment. So the Creator is always going to be bestowal, and the created being, which is us, is always going to be a reception. But how we receive is the question, and how we receive needs to change from an egoistic form into an altruistic form. So we need to use the will to receive only and only in order to bestow to the Creator. Then we can definitely say that only bestowal rules the world. Okay, so let's read number 3. Any questions? Let me know. So these are very important for us because right now what we're trying to do is prepare ourselves for the Congress. So these topics of annulment, impregnation in spirituality called ibur, these topics are very, very important because they're kind of like preparation for us to bring ourselves to that spiritual state. So excerpt number 3. What detains us from receiving the good is only our own authority, that we're unwilling to annul our authority called will to receive for ourselves. That is, everything that a person wants to receive is only into his own authority, as it is written, everything that a person has, he will give for his soul. A person is willing to give anything if only to keep his soul, meaning to feel his existence, but not the other way around. That is, a person is told, I will give you anything you want and everything your soul desires, but first give me your soul. Then the person asks, to whom are you giving it? Not to his own authority, meaning to his will to receive, meaning that he will have an authority of his own and he will receive everything into his own authority. Otherwise, a person cannot work. This derives from the nature that the Creator has imprinted in the creatures a desire to enjoy, which will benefit the goal, which was the intention to do good to his creations. So this excerpt is a bit hard to grasp. So let's read it again and see. What detains us from receiving the good is only our own authority, that we're unwilling to annul our authority called will to receive for ourselves. Okay, so that's pretty clear. The reason we can't be happy in life, the reason humanity is always unsuccessful, the reason that we're consistently and continuously actually developing throughout the generations, but our unhappiness is increasing rather than our happiness, right? Logically, as we develop, we should become more happy, but it's to the contrary. We develop more and more and more, and we get ourselves into more depression, unfulfillment, and sadness. And the reason for that is exactly because we want to be in our will to receive for ourselves. That is, everything that a person wants to receive is only into his own authority. As it is written, everything that a person has, he will give for his soul. So everything a person wants is to fulfill himself with his desire to receive pleasure. A person is willing to give anything if only to keep his soul, meaning to feel his existence, but not the other way around. That is, a person is told, I will give you anything you want and everything your soul desires, but first give me your soul. Then the person asks, to whom are you giving it? Not to his own authority, meaning to his will to receive, meaning that he will have an authority of his own, and he will receive everything into his own authority. Otherwise, a person cannot work. This derives from the nature that the Creator has imprinted in the creatures a desire to enjoy, which will benefit the goal, which was the intention to do good to his creations. So at the end of the day, the Creator wants us to get desire. That's why we were created, right? The Creator created us in order to fulfill us with all the pleasures that can possibly exist, that exists. However, though, this is not going to work out if we're not doing it in order to bestow. If we're just barely just receiving, just, I don't know, in a raw fashion, get whatever I want kind of thing, then obviously that's not going to be contra bestowing to the Creator. So we want the Creator's bestowal to be answered by our mutual bestowal to the Creator as well. If that doesn't happen, we can't receive anything. This is why the desire and the pleasure cancel each other out. Remember the main principle, one of the laws in nature. If I get whatever I want, the desire and the fulfillment, they cancel each other out. So I end up running constantly after other pleasures because I always want to get them inside my desire to receive, but it will never stay as pleasure inside my will to receive. And because humanity doesn't understand this, we're still going in the way of directly trying to get whatever I want. So until we grow up and understand that that's not going to happen, then obviously, until we understand that, we're going to go and continuously feel broken more and more. We're just going to be completely disappointed from life as we're heading in that direction already. Life is pretty disappointing to a lot of people all around the world, and it will continue to get disappointing. Okay, excerpt number 4. When a person begins to work, he has two authorities: his own authority, namely the will to receive, and he also wants to work for the Creator. When a person sees that he has two authorities, he asks the Creator to help him cancel his authority and leave only the singular authority, meaning the authority of the Creator. Then the Creator helps him annul the authority and leaves man with only the singular authority. That is why it is written in singular form. And the Lord your God will keep with you, meaning that the Creator will keep him, so he will have only the singular authority. All right, so let's read that again. When a person begins to work, that is, when a person begins to study the wisdom of Kabbalah in order to go through that personal transformation, he has two authorities. His own authority, namely the will to receive, and he also wants to work for the Creator. So we need to have a dot in the heart. We need to have a desire to work in spirituality, which is to bestow. And we also, obviously, by nature, by default, have our own will to receive. So if we don't have those two things at the same time, it's impossible to move forward. This is why, in order to advance in spirituality, you need a dot in the heart. You need something inside of you that is inquiring about the meaning of life, the purpose of life, what we're doing here. When a person sees that he has two authorities, he asks the Creator to help him cancel his authority and leave only the singular authority, meaning the authority of the Creator. Then the Creator helps him annul the authority and leaves man with only the singular authority. This is why it is written in singular form, and the Lord your God will keep with you, meaning that the Creator will keep him, so he will have only the singular authority. So what we need to do as we advance in spirituality, we need to come to a decision that our desire to receive for ourselves is bad, and would like the Creator to change that, so that the Creator can change the way he created us and bring upon our will to receive the intention to bestow. In that case, we can use our will to receive all the time, but with an intention to bestow, allowing us to be in equivalence of form with the Creator, and that is called perfection. So the Lord your God will keep with you is exactly that situation. So because the Creator created us, it's impossible for us to change ourselves. So the wisdom of Kabbalah, as we study the wisdom of Kabbalah, we begin to come to realize that our state, our egoistic state, is rather intolerable. And through that intolerance, the intolerance we feel against or towards our nature, let's call it, we'd like to change that, but we can't change ourselves. So a person then needs to ask the Creator. Now, why is that important? Why is man not capable of changing himself? Simply because if we could, then we wouldn't need the Creator. And if we didn't need the Creator, there'd be no point in ever having a connection with the Creator. So the whole of reality is actually for man and the Creator to have this connection. And through this connection, man can constantly become, and man can personally get, man can start to elevate himself from lowliness into the degrees of the Creator. So this connection with the Creator actually is necessary so that we can actually learn what perfection is from the Creator. All right, so excerpt number 5. The main preparation, which is called labor, is that one must prepare oneself to annul one's authority, meaning one's self. We can call this hospitality or greeting a guest, meaning that he cancels the view of landlords and craves the view of Torah, which is called annulling of authority. Naturally, he becomes the guest of the Creator, who is the host of the entire world. And since there are ups and downs about it, meaning that many times the body makes him see that he too is a host, meaning that he's allowed to do what he wants, and he's not subjugated to the host, who is the Creator. Naturally, he wants to do whatever he wants, but later a person overcomes the body's thoughts and desires and accepts that he is the guest and the Creator is the host. And the person has no authority. He is only a passing guest in this world. So that's also a rather nice we're all guests in this world. And that's why we're born, we live, and we die. We're transient. We just go through this thing called life, this experience process, in order to actually accumulate all kinds of feelings and sensations in us so that we will afterwards want to change. We want to change our nature so that we don't get stuck in this place, not knowing anything about life, really. Because just think about it for a moment. We're born, you don't know where you're going to be born, who's going to be your parents, your country, religion, culture, whatever. You got no control about anything. So all of this is, rather meaningless if a person doesn't have a purpose behind his existence. So our existence has a purpose, and as long as we work towards attaining it, then it becomes meaningful. Other than that, if we live our lives, without a purpose, without at least trying to get to the purpose of life, then it actually becomes rather meaningless. And this is what we're finding in humanity lately, with all kinds of philosophies that see life valueless, meaningless, purposeless, and our human psychology is also, bringing us to all kinds of adverse behaviors like, drugs, violence, all kinds of things that are just out of the normal, that we would consider normal. So we're going through this transition as humanity, and the whole reason that we're going through rather bad states is simply because we need to realize that our nature needs to change. And the sooner we realize that a change is required in our nature, the better that will be. And if we don't realize that, life is going to keep constantly hammering us until we decide to make a change. But if we keep waiting for life's problems, pushes, dramas, all kinds of sufferings, then it's going to be rather painful. So Kabbalists recommend that we actually make that change voluntarily. And like I said, that's the whole idea of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Now, it looks like we've got a question. Okay, so this is for the end of the lesson, I hear. All right, so at the end of the lesson. Okay, last week there was a lesson on body and soul. So we've got 2 questions from last week. We'll read those later on. Let's just go through a few more excerpts and I will remember to answer those as well. So excerpt number 6. This is from Baal Salam. One must know when exerting to attain lishma, which is for the sake of the Creator, to take upon himself to want to work entirely to bestow. Completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him, so the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally, as he sees that he cannot persuade his body to annul itself completely. It turns out that precisely when one sees that there is no hope that his body will ever agree to work for the Creator by itself, one's prayer can be from the bottom of the heart, and his prayer is accepted. So let's read this again. One must know, when exerting to attain the lishma, to take upon himself, to want to work entirely to bestow, completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him, So the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally, as he sees that he cannot persuade his body to annul itself completely. It turns out that precisely when one sees that there is no hope that his body will agree to work for the Creator by itself, one's prayer can be from the bottom of the heart, and then his prayer is accepted. This is a really nice excerpt from Shamati, as you might know, Shamati number 5. So a person needs to make a lot of effort, and to actually completely reveal how stubborn his nature is, and how this will to receive will only do whatever it wants to do, and that you really have no control over anything regarding your will to receive. So our work should actually come to reveal to us that situation. We should actually feel, see, reveal how the desire to receive just completely controls us. And it will only let us do the smallest thing if it wants. So we're really enslaved, tied, chained to this desire to receive pleasure that is really using us as a slave for fulfillment. So only if we come to realize the situation, we can then come to a heartfelt prayer, as he says here. Then one has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator. So this really is how it is, because he sees that that's it, there is no other way. Either the Creator is going to change me, or this is how I'm going to just live it out. So that's a really nice excerpt from Shamati number 5. Okay, so let's read number 7, excerpt number 7. A person must know how far he is from bestowal, and that all the organs of the body object to this. The person is asking to the Creator for something that there is not one element in the body that will agree to the request that he's making to the Creator. And at that time, a person sees something new that he did not know before. He began to ask of the Creator to be given strength to overcome the body. So he will be able to do things only for the sake of the Creator and not for his own sake. This new awareness that the person attains is that he sees that the body does not agree to such a prayer, to cancel the will to receive for himself. Thus the question is, why does a person sometimes want to cancel the will to receive for himself? That is, many times he sees that when he asks the Creator to give him vessels of bestowal, the whole body resists, and his prayer is only lip service, meaning only empty words. Yet, he sees that there are times when he can pray wholeheartedly. The answer is that this is already the answer to the prayer, meaning that the Creator gave him the strength to pray for this with all his heart. Therefore, a person must be hopeful that the Creator will bring him closer. This is again a nice article from Rabash. Let's read this again. A person must know how far he is from bestowal, and that all the organs of the body object to this. The person is asking of the Creator for something that there is not one element in the body that will agree to the request that he's making to the Creator. At that time, a person sees something new that he did not know before he began to ask of the Creator to be given strength to overcome the body. So he will be able to do things only for the sake of the Creator and not for his own sake. This new awareness that the person attains is that he sees that the body does not agree to such a prayer, to cancel the will to receive for himself. Thus, the question is, why does a person sometimes want to cancel the will to receive for himself? That is, many times he sees that when he asks the Creator to give him vessels of bestowal, the whole body resists, and his prayer is only lip service, meaning only empty words. Yet he sees that there are times when he can pray wholeheartedly. The answer is that this is already the answer to the prayer, meaning that the Creator gave him the strength to pray for this with all his heart. Therefore, a person must be hopeful that the Creator will bring him closer. So as you can see, those moments, we've got a lot of them, right? A lot of times when we ask the Creator and it feels like it's lip service, it's really not heartfelt. And then there are certain times when you're just completely sick of it and you just really, bring it all out. It just feels like a really heartfelt prayer. So we need to feel both of those states. And one is to show us that we're not really desiring what we think we're desiring or what we're asking for. So it just becomes lip service. And then the other times it really is felt like we are asking for the right thing. So this is kind of this is like for the Creator to keep us in the loop. So by doing this, the Creator is keeping our hopes high, which in the wisdom of Kabbalah, if you're a serious student, you already understand that you need to keep them high. So for us to feel that the Creator can really help us, we need to have both of these states. So on the one hand, you see yourself as hopeless, the situation is hopeless, the case is hopeless. And on the other hand, there are times when you feel, you are getting help. So both of those situations need to occur. And accordingly, a person can then move forward one step more, another step, and then another step, and then another step. So this is excerpt number 8, again from Baal Islam's Shemati 5. The evil inclination is the will to receive, and acquiring the desire to bestow cancels the will to receive from being able to do anything. This is considered putting it to death, since it has been removed from its office, and it has nothing more to do since it is no longer in use. When it is revoked from its function, it is considered putting it to death. So let's read that again. The evil inclination is the will to receive, and acquiring the desire to bestow cancels the will to receive from being able to do anything. This is considered putting it to death, since it has been removed from its office and it has nothing more to do since it is no longer in use. When it is revoked from its function, this is considered putting it to death. So in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're not really killing anything. We're just coming to a state where we do not use it anymore. And that is considered killing it. But obviously you can't kill anything in spirituality, right? So this is why we need to understand that the desire to receive for itself is no longer in power. And that's called dead. All right, so excerpt number 9. Raising the hands is regarded as surrender, since when one sees that he cannot get what he wants, he raises his hands and says that here he cannot achieve anything with his own hands. Therefore, when praying to the Creator, we should raise our hands As it is written, in your name I will lift up my hands, that only the Creator can help him. Let's read that again. Raising the hands is regarded as surrender, since when one sees that he cannot get what he wants, he raises his hands and says that here he cannot achieve anything with his own hands. Therefore, when praying to the Creator, we should raise our hands, as it is written, in your name I will lift up my hands, that only the Creator can help him. All right, so a person, obviously, for a person to get to that state, he needs to do everything in his power. Everything in his power. So a person must exert all his effort, really do maximum everything. And then he can come to a state where he can raise his hands to the Creator. Excerpt number 11. The matter of dvekut with the Creator is annulment of one's own authority. By nature, man is born feeling only his own authority, that he is the landlord and does what he wants. In order for him to know that there is the authority of the Creator, that he is the leader of the world, a person must believe this, that the Creator is the king of the world. A person must believe that this concealment, where a person does not feel that there is a king to the world, the Creator did this, and this is called the correction of the restriction. However, one must believe and make great efforts until he feels in his organs that the Creator is the leader of the world. And not just a leader, rather, one must believe that his guidance is in the manner of good and doing good. So these are two states that we need to attain in spirituality. One is to see that the Creator is ruling the world. And the second is that he's doing it in a way that is good. Obviously, when we look at the world, we don't always see it that way. However, though, this is why we need to go through this growth process, or what it calls corrections. Okay. Let's carry on reading. Excerpt number 12. As long as one does not revoke the vessels of the desire to receive for himself, he cannot receive delight and pleasure. It follows that the only obstructor on receiving the delight and pleasure is the will to receive for oneself. This is why this will to receive is the evil inclination. However, how can it be revoked? As it is written, annul your will before his will. He is the Torah, as our sages said. The Creator said, I have created the evil inclination. I've created the Torah as a spice. This means that the Creator says, the fact that I created the will to receive pleasure, and that this is the nature of creation, as was said, that creation is called existence from absence, means that a new thing was created here. This was said about this will to receive. The Creator said, I created the Torah as a spice, that is, through the light in it, reforms him. Let's read this Rabash excerpt again. As long as one does not revoke the vessels of the desire to receive for himself, he cannot receive delight and pleasure. Okay, so this is why we're sad and miserable in this world. Even if we get what we want, we still feel empty. It follows that the only obstructor on receiving the delight and pleasure is the will to receive for oneself. So there's only one problem we've got in life, and that's our intention to receive for ourselves. This is why this will to receive is the evil inclination. However, how can it be revoked? As it is written, annul your will before his will. He is the Torah, as our sages said. The Creator said, I've created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a spice. This means that the Creator says, the fact that I created the will to receive pleasure, and that this is the nature of creation, as was said, that creation is called existence from absence, means that a new thing was created here. This was said about this will to receive. The Creator said, I created the Torah as a spice, that is, through the light in it reforms him. So in order for us to revoke or annul our will to receive for ourselves, we have to study, we have to go through this development process. Just like in life, we're growing up, we're going through changes, all kinds of changes every day that make us mature, wiser, and so forth. A person also needs to go through this process by studying the wisdom of Kabbalah to come to the realization that his will to receive for himself is the only bad thing on the planet, and that thing specifically needs to change. And how? Well, with the help of the Creator, as it says here. I created the Torah as a spice. So the study, the wisdom of Kabbalah, is like a cure for a person. Issachar is asking, when someone leaves the 10, I read that it's my and the 10's responsibility. I'm hearing that we need to make every effort towards connection. What efforts should we make in this instance? Well, it's a tricky question. When we're in the 10, all of us have to make the best effort we can in order to apply the principles of Rabash. So there should be a really good connection, a good vibe, a good feeling, and everyone should be a good example to the other. And everyone should bring to the group a spirit of life, a spirit of liveliness, or a spirit of happiness, joy. You know, the mood of the group should be very nice, very warm, happy, and joyful on the path. And everybody should do their best to maintain this, because if a person is not happy in the group, because, you know, our path is full of ups and downs, right? And if the group doesn't compensate for all the ups and downs we're going through with some joy, happiness, and, you know, giving us confidence, then a person can leave, because he'll fall weak. And he'll fall weaker and weaker and weaker until he falls off. And then what can you do? What we normally do is if a friend falls off, we, you know, try to help him. We don't convince anyone, but we just explain what we're going through. Because at the end of the day, why does anybody leave? Well, people leave because our body, like we just read, right? Like we don't agree with this change. And because we don't agree with this change, it's very difficult for a person to keep moving forward unless he's got some kind of motivation or a good reason to come to the group. So the 10 has to give a person a good reason to come to the group. And that means that everybody in the group should do their best to, you know, to show love, warmth, and, you know, just be good friends, I guess, like Rabash says. So we should all really make an effort to give each other that good energy, that good vibe, confidence, joy, and all of these things then build friendships. You can't really build a friendship if you're, you know, if you're not going through ups and downs and you feel like the friends are with you. So the 10 should always give the friend that confidence that, you know what, whatever you go through, we're with you. We're thinking about you, we care about you, and so on. So giving a good example, bringing to the group a good energy, a good vibe, happiness, joy, confidence. And also, obviously, through all these actions, we want to increase the importance of the goal. Because if a person feels like the goal is no longer important, then he or she will just fade away slowly, slowly. It's like it's like a dying plant. You're just, not getting looked after, so you're going to fade away. So a group, the 10, should be really praying to the Creator for everyone. Everyone in the group should be praying for the whole group all the time. And everyone needs to do the best they can to stay on the path. I also recommend that everybody in your group take up a responsibility in dissemination. If you take a role, responsibility in dissemination, that will keep you on the path, because you'll feel responsible. You'll feel like, you're contributing. You feel like you're adding something good to the world. And that also helps a person to stay on the path. So there's got to be also work from the individual as well. So if everybody works in that fashion, the energy of the 10 will be enough to feed everyone. So everyone can actually get recharged. But everybody has to make that effort. And also annulling to the 10, annulling to the path is very important. Like we're reading here, it's like when you when you choose to continue because you're getting support from the friends, you choose to continue no matter what happens. This is annulment. Because annulment is when I'm feeling really lowly, and it's really hard to work then. So if I don't feel like I'm getting confidence from the group, it's really hard to stay on the path. So all of us have to just give that, confidence to each other. And also, like I said, the prayer of the 10 is very important. Everybody should be just like, praying for the friends and hoping that the Creator is going to keep us all together. So those are the most important thing. The person has to work individually and towards the 10, obviously. So we're all in a 10, but we're all working in that direction. We're all working in the same direction. And if we all work in the same direction, and if we also take care of other people in the world by disseminating or helping them, then it's very hard for a person to leave. It will be hard for a person to leave, because a person will feel like he has made investment. So he will feel like it's, although he wants to leave, he just can't leave it. It's like investing a lot in a business. So you just can't let it go. That's how it is. So we need to pray to the Creator. We can also, if the friend wants to talk to us, it's good to talk to the friend as well. Say, hey, what's going on? What's the matter? And, that's about it. Obviously, to also have strength on the past, we have to stick to the lessons. It's really hard for a person, in the wisdom of Kabbalah at least, to keep moving along if he's not connected to the lessons. Because the lessons are like that, it's like having food during the day. You get hungry and your body needs that nourishment to stay up and running. We don't realize it, but the morning lesson is the food we get to nourish our soul. And because we don't feel the soul, we don't feel like it's being fed and looked after in the morning lesson, it becomes hard for a person to carry on unless he maintains the importance of the goal. So there are a few factors here that need to be kept in mind, but you will find all of them in all the lessons that we did, all of them. A person, a person has to think like, it depends on me. What I do allows me to stay on the path. And like I said, also bestowing to others by dissemination is also very helpful. I found that a great help. Because you're looking after other people, you actually feel like the Creator is looking after you as well. And this kind of keeps you on the path, despite the fact that you go through a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot. with all the ups and downs, you know, sometimes it's enough to drive you crazy. But you just feel, because you're helping others the best you can and you're putting a lot of effort into it, you just feel like there's a hand that keeps you safe. So dissemination I'd also recommend to all of you in the 10 as well. Okay, so let's answer last week's questions and call it a night. Now, last week, Patricia asked about the article body and soul. And the first question was, are there 3 levels to climb before discovering one's point in the heart? No, before one's point in the heart awakens, you know, we're like animals here. We're just running after our own desires, and there's really nothing to talk about. So when the point in the heart is going to wake up, also that's not up to us either. That just seemingly happens out of the blue. Obviously, nothing is out of the blue, but from our perspective, it's like all of a sudden out of the blue. Why? Because we're a part of the system, and that system is functioning. And when the time comes for every part, for every dot in the heart, every particle to awaken, the system awakens it. And her second question is, why do some discover it and some do not? Well, everybody's going to discover it sooner or later. But as you can see, look at our body, right? Although the soul has nothing to do with the body, we have a bunch of organs. We have a bunch of, all kinds of muscles, bones, tendons, all kinds of things that keep this thing together. And it's a living organism, right? So everything at the end of the day, all the parts come together in a perfect way to make this body function perfectly. So the whole of humanity is the same thing, really. We're all one body. And in that body, there are different parts. So there are the hands, right? The legs, the feet, the eyes, the brain, the inner organs, and everything. So it's one body, but in that body, there are some organs that you can't do without. So you can't do without your kidneys. You can't do without your heart, your liver, your lungs, your brain, right? But you can do without some stuff. Now, God forbid if a person had an accident and lost a limb or 2 or whatever, he can still live and survive, in a wheelchair or in some way or form, even though they may be handicapped. But at the end of the day, all of the body parts, when they all get together, it's called perfection. So in our spiritual development as well, there are some parts that, need to develop first. Also, when a baby is developing in the womb, right? Not everything develops in the same exact equal way. Some parts of the body develop first, then some other parts develop, then they switch developing, and so on. So this development process is a bit complicated to understand. But everybody awakens according to their role in the system, which they need to fulfill. And you can also look at the whole of humanity as that one baby growing in the womb of the mother. And we're all going through this growth process. And while we are growing as a little baby in the womb, that growth process is different for different organs. So the baby is not equally growing with all of the organs at the same time. And that's the process. Why is it like that? Well, we don't know. We won't know until we discover the whole system. So first, let's be born in spirituality, let's discover it, and then it will all kind of fit into place. But as you can also see from life, every part of the body is needed to feel that one perfect way of existing. All right. So I hope that helps, guys. We're going to call it a night. Hopefully you had a good one. I definitely had a good one. I love going over these excerpts from the morning lesson. It really kind of gets me ready for the morning lesson as well. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow in the morning lesson, and then next Tuesday. All the best. Have a good one. Bye-bye.